For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Moses Camacho. I'm the senior pastor of South Hills Church. I just want to take a moment and just let you know how excited I am with the series that we've been in, Fight Songs, diving into Psalms 23, learning all the ins and outs of how God is our shepherd, how he renews our strength. Even when we're walking through dark valleys, we have learned that he is with us every step of the way. He protects us, he comforts us. There are so many people who would love to have a shepherd in their life. There are so many people that would love to have someone comforting them and walking alongside of them through the valleys that they're going through. And Easter weekend is that opportunity where the world kind of shuts down. If you were to extend an invite, someone now has white space in their calendar to potentially say yes. That means that they have an opportunity to meet their shepherd, to meet their creator, and have their hearts and lives changed. And I want to take a moment to share a story of someone who accepted an invitation and how their life changed. I truly believe God led me to this church. I was greeted at the door and welcomed with open arms. I started off as a good-hearted atheist without knowing God. I believed if this world was going to change, I would have to be the change. I was searching for God my entire life, and along the way, so many coincidences aligned that I became agnostic and started to believe there was some other power at work that I at the time called the universe. Eventually, God spoke to me directly, and I thought I was going crazy. When I came to South Hills, I found that I wasn't crazy and that there are others who know God and follow God. I've always sought purpose and meaning in my life, but it wasn't until I truly found God that I gained clarity and peace. This is just one of many stories of people who find God when they walk through our doors. So today, I pray that you would ask God for the courage to find that one person in your life who really needs to know him.
Good morning. Good to see you guys. That little music sounded like the beginning of Days of Our Lives. Did anyone else feel that? Like, just when it was happening, I was like, ooh, I can't wait to see what's going to happen on this show. Oh, it's not a show. We're live. This was something we're doing. If you don't know me, my name is Adam, and I'm the campus pastor here at our Corona campus. And today is Palm Sunday. And for those of you that may not know the history of where this term comes from, there's this moment in biblical history where Jesus comes into town, and people start to recognize that there's something unique about him. And they start to hail him as king. And so they take these palm branches and lay them down, and there's this Jesus parade in the street. And this really does set off a chain of events that really lead him to his death and ultimately resurrection, which is what Easter is really about. And so it's sort of the moment that kicks off what we call Passion Week, which is this week that counts down to Easter. And it also happens to be today for us, our 27th birthday as a campus, which is such an exciting thing. For almost 3 decades, we've been in this city doing ministry and watching Jesus change people's lives. And today, because it's such a special day for so many different reasons, I thought it would be extra special to give you the opportunity to hear from somebody that you don't get to hear from, but is crucial in what this church is and has become. And I've been the campus pastor here for about 9 years now. So for some of you, if you're newer to our environment, you might just sort of know me as your pastor, but there's a long history that extends before that. In fact, when this church started, I was graduating high school. So you did not want me leading a church at that time. It would not have been good for anybody. But the person who did start this church, he and his wife just had a vision and a passion to build a church unlike other churches. If you've been around Corona long, you know that there is about 7.3 million churches here. Just drive up Ontario, there's so many. And it wasn't that they wanted to build another church, it's that they wanted to build a different kind of church. A church that was really exclusively focused on people who couldn't find what they were looking for in all the churches that existed. They were looking to build a church for unchurched people, for de-churched people, for people who were like, I don't even know if I believe in God. I've done so many bad things in my life. I'm pretty sure the roof would cave in if I showed up at a church. I've had bad church experiences. Anybody had a bad church experience before? Hopefully it wasn't here. But so many people that this applies to, and they set out to really sell everything they own and move in with their folks and begin to just invest everything. And I would just tell you, if you are here today watching online and your life has been impacted, changed, transformed, your marriage has been saved, your kids are now following Jesus, you were able to kick an addiction you thought you were never going to get away from, it is due to the faithfulness of the person that you're going to hear today. Because the reason why all of us are here was because one person listened to God and said, I'm going to start something, and believe that God is going to begin a movement through this one step of faithfulness. And they took another step and another step and another step. And now we are multiple campuses in multiple states and all the way around the world. And not only that, but your life has been transformed. And so I want to encourage you today to lean in a little bit extra, because you get an opportunity to hear from our founding pastor. And I am really excited to get to hear this message. I love always getting to hear this guy speak. He's brilliant, he's funny, and more than that, I wouldn't have a job if it weren't for him. And my family wouldn't have the church that my kids have grown up in their entire lives and have come to find Jesus in. And so it's very personal to me today. And so I want you to lean in extra, to take some notes today, to show honor, to expect to hear something that's going to change your life. And can we do this up big style and get onto our feet and give a massive Corona campus welcome to our founding pastor, the Reverend Chris Sonksen himself.
Appreciate you. Amen. You can be seated. Man, it's been a few years since I've been on this stage. It is so good to see. How many were here when I was here leading the campus? Come on. How many have no idea who I am, and why does this guy have a big head? Go ahead, put it up there. I look like a human cake pop, be honest. All right. Hey, it is awesome to be able to be with you. My beautiful wife is right over here. We have been running this, starting this campus 27 years ago, and thank you, Pastor Adam, you've got an amazing campus pastor in Pastor Adam and Gretchen. They are absolutely awesome. And so it is so good to be able to be with you guys today and be able to just share with you a message God's put on my heart. And so I want you to lean in. And man, it's just awesome to be with you. My wife and I started this church 27 years ago. Our kids were just little ones at the time. I think like 4-year-old and 3-year-old at the time. And now they're both married. We have 2 granddaughters now. We have a grandson on the way. How many grandparents do we have here, by the way? Is it not the best thing on the planet? Way better than parenting. It's God's gift to you for you not killing your own kid. That's really what it is. I was holding my granddaughter a while back, and my adult son says to me, "Dad, it's like you love her more." I said, "No, it's not like I do. I do. You had a good run. It's over for you." And it is absolutely amazing, but being grandparents, we love it. We are spending our time. I still help out with South Hills a little bit behind the scenes, but we used to have a ministry called Church Boom, and we started it to rescue dying churches and coach pastors. We're currently coaching 300 pastors a month right now, all across the nation, trying to help pastors and help leaders all across the nation. But when we started this church 27 years ago, I want to give you a story that some of you might know, and some of you have no idea about the story. When we started the church, my wife and I grabbed about 30 friends, and we said, let's start a thing called South Hills Church. Now there's 12 campuses, and it's all over the place. But when we started it, we said, hey, let's start with this idea, like how are we going to promote? And we met at the Masonic Lodge down the street. That was where our first service was held. Anybody ever been in a Masonic Lodge? Think haunted house, but different. If you're a Mason, come see me afterwards. I probably just offended you. But anyway, so we went there, and we started South Hills Church. How are we going to do this thing? Now, this is 1998. Video, VHS, is on its way out. DVD is on its way in, right? And so this is a long time ago, and this is VHS. I know some of the young people going, what's VHS? Is that an app? So video was on its way out. DVD was on its way. We had this idea. We're going to make a 4-minute video, a promo video, and we're going to make a 4-minute video, send out the video, send it out to 10,000 homes. You know how hard it is to make a video about a church that doesn't exist? Because you got people on there crying, it's changed my life. I'm like, you liar. And we haven't had a service yet. And so we make this video, and it's a 4-minute video. Then we go to a place called a mail house. That's like where you get mail that says resident. That comes from a mail house. And we said, okay, we got 10,000 videos. And they were expensive, by the way. We had no money. And they were called once past tapes, meaning they were used before, like they were an exercise video. They peel off the label, clean it up, and now it's your video. And instead of $1.50 a piece, it was 26 cents a piece, which is a lot cheaper at 10,000. So we make 10,000 videos. We tell the mail house, okay, send it to this territory. This was the territory we wanted it sent to. 2 major things happened. They were arriving Monday morning. Now, Monday morning before March 29th, 1998. And so they arrive on Monday morning, and we're going to promote the launch of our church. Now, something happened at the mail house where the label machine got stuck when they went to mail them out. And instead of 10,000 videos going to 10,000 homes, 7,000 videos went to the same house. That was our Monday before we started the church. So the lady called me up because instead of, the post office going, hey, maybe they're, wrong. They just stacked them on pallets in front of this lady's house. And so it was so funny because she calls me up and she was so upset because she had 7,000 videos in front of her house. And she was cussing me out. There were 4 or 5 syllable customers. I was writing them down. I'm like, that's a good one. I've never heard that before. And just totally cussing me out. So I get on the phone with the mail house. They rerun the video or relabel it. They pick it up. Now back out they go on Tuesday. Now, remember, they're once past tapes, meaning they were used before. So they laid it. Now, the phone starts ringing on Tuesday morning. Hey, you guys are starting a church. The 3rd call we got was some guy that's like, hey, man, I got your video. And I think it's cool that you're starting a church in Corona. And but I don't know how to tell you this. I'm, well, what? He goes, well, it's kind of weird. I go, just tell me. He goes, when your video comes on for the first 3 or 4 seconds, he goes, there's 3 people on there, and they don't have any clothes on. So I'm thinking in my mind, porn. That's not good. It's like porn. Hi, I'm Pastor Chris. Not a good thing on the video. Really bad, And so, but we had a huge attendance that first Sunday. It was a lot of men were there, Guys were there going, finally, a church I can relate to, I didn't know what to say. You don't like our ushers? I don't know what do you say about that? So that's how we started the whole thing. And God worked it out, and we launched. And, man, we went from the Masonic Lodge up to Citrus Hills Intermediate to this campus here. Then we launched another campus, then another campus, and then another campus, and another campus. And God kept giving us territory. And I want you to say that word with me. Come on, what's the word? Now, that's an important word because every one of us have a territory that God gives us. Even if you're not a Christian today and you're kind of new here, God gives us a territory. Put it on the screen for me. Here's what the territory looks like. Every one of us. That's you in the middle, all happy and hello. Relationships, marriage, spiritual life, children, finances, career, whatever's in your territory. We all have a territory in our life. All of us have a territory in our life. And our job is to protect the what? Protect the what? Protect the territory. Because there's a battle that always goes on over territory. Think about it. In war, in physical war, one country to another country, typically they want the territory, don't they? What they're saying, one country says, you have oil, we want it. You have money, we want it. You have land, we want it. And the fight is always in the territory. But that's not only true physically, that is also true spiritually. There is a battle that goes on between you and the enemy, between God and the enemy, and they're always fighting for the territory. The enemy wants to destroy your territory. There is a great, great story in Mark chapter 5. If you have a Bible, go there. If you don't have a Bible, next time at a hotel, get one. They're free. I steal them and I sell them on eBay. It's a side hustle. here we go. Here's what it says in Mark chapter 5. Now, here's how the story goes, okay? Jesus is with a bunch of the disciples. They go over on a boat to an area called the Gerasenes, okay? We'll read it in just a moment. He gets there, he arrives, and when Jesus arrives and gets off the boat onto the shore, he's met by this demon-possessed dude. This is a huge scene. This is good versus evil to the nth degree, okay? So Jesus gets off the boat, and he faces this man that's demon-possessed. Now, let's read it, okay? It says in verse 1, they went across the lake to the region of Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. This is a huge scene, you guys. This is good versus evil. Jesus gets off the boat. This demon-possessed guy that's breaking chains with his hands and his feet, and they meet up. This is a major scene, okay? Now, let's pick it up. Verse 6, when he saw Jesus from the distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, the Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." Let's stop there. Now, why is that? Why am I stopping there? Because this Jesus gets off the boat, this demon-possessed dude comes and says, Jesus, Son of the Most High God. Now, why is that important? Because up to this point, we're probably thinking, Jesus is having a conversation with this guy. That's not true. Because here's the deal. He said, you're the Son of the Most High God. The disciples didn't even know at that time he was the Son of the Most High God. If the disciples didn't know, how would this crazy guy know? Jesus wasn't having a conversation with the man that was demon-possessed. Jesus was having a conversation with the demon. This is an enormous scene. Now, look at it. We'll pick it up where we left off. It says, for Jesus said to him, come out of this man, you impure spirit. Then Jesus asked him, what is your name? He said, my name, help me out, my name is what? Legion, for we are many. Now, legion is a Roman Empire term at that time, meaning 6,000 or more. That was a legion, 6,000 or more. So here's what he's saying. He says, you're the Son of the Most High God. The demon knew. And so Jesus is talking to him, and he says, and what's your name? After he tells him to get out of the man, what's your name? He says, my name is Legion, for there are 6,000 of us in here. 6,000 inside this man. It's a wild scene, okay? Now, let's pick it up where we left off. We'll come back to Legion in a minute. Verse 10, the most important verse here. And he begged Jesus again and again not to send him out of the area, but another word for area would be what? Territory. Okay, so understand this scene. Jesus meets up with this demon-possessed dude, and he says, what's your name? Oh, my name's Legion, for the 6,000 of us. He says, you got to get out of the man. And what does the demon say? Okay, that's okay. I'll get out of the man, but please let me stay in the territory. It's interesting. That is such an interesting part. And I want you to put it on the screen for me because I think this is such an interesting part, is that the enemy wasn't concerned with leaving the man. The enemy was concerned with leaving the territory. He wasn't concerned with leaving the man. It was the territory. See, all of us have a territory. And he's not so concerned with us, although he is, but it's the territory. It's the marriage. It's the relationship. Some of us in here, we have children that aren't following God at the place we would like them to. He comes against our territory. Some of us in here, we have marriages that are falling apart. We have relationships that aren't good. We have a career that's going nowhere. We have finances that are upside down. We have emotional health that isn't good. Because, help me out, because the enemy's always coming after our what? He's always coming after our territory. He's not just concerned with you. He's concerned with your marriage. And he wants your kids, and he wants your grandkids, and he wants your money. He wants to come in at all of that, and he attacks all of it all the time. I do a lot of flying these days. Right now I'm doing about 160 to 180 flights a year. And I still don't like flying. Have you ever thought about the fact that before you get on the plane, the last word you see is the word terminal? Who came up with that idea? Terminal. It may as well say you're going to die. I mean, The dumbest thing in the world. And I am, although I do 160 to 180 flights a year, I am always the most afraid on the plane. Anytime it shakes, I start getting all nervous. I just scream out, this is it. You know, I just yell out stuff. Glory, hallelujah, just whatever. And I love it when the plane starts shaking, people tighten up their seatbelt. Because when you fall out of the sky from 30,000 feet, that'll help. So I'm on this flight. I get on this flight, Southwest flight. Southwest flight is the worst because they herd you on like cattle. And there's no assigned seating. You just go on and it's a free-for-all. Everybody fights for the seat. So I'm one of the last ones to get on this flight a while back. And it was a middle seat, which is the worst. Okay, so I get in the middle seat, and sitting right next to me on the window is this lady. She's all but 100 pounds, reading her book and really quiet and to herself. That's who you want to sit next to. She's just like this, you know, and I'm like, this is perfect. But the guy on the other side, he's probably 6'5", 6'6", looks like a linebacker, about 300 pounds, monster of a man. His head's up here, and he's just a monster. He's so big, he's bleeding over into my side. About $60 worth, I estimate. And I'm like, do you got Zelle? Because you owe me $60. And he's just a big old dude. He gets on the phone. Right? We're still, you know, they're still loading people up. He gets on the phone. Now we're done loading up, and they're starting to close everything, and the lady walks by, the flight attendant says, sir, you need to get off the phone. The big guy sitting next to me. And he goes, yeah, in a minute. He was kind of rude, but whatever. She moved on, comes back a couple minutes later. He's still on the phone. Sir, you got to get off the phone. He puts the phone down like this. He goes, I'll get off when I'm ready. And I thought, oh, this is going to get good. So I grabbed some popcorn, got ready for the show, and then we're pulling back, you know, getting onto the runway. He's still on the phone, and I see her coming. I'm like, this is going to get wild. And she comes up, and she goes, sir, you got to get off the phone now. He puts the phone down. He goes, I'll get off when I'm ready. You fill in the blank. And he starts cussing at her and letting her have it. I mean, it was bad, you know, and the plane is pulling back, and he's cussing at her and putting her down and saying horrible names to her like that. Finally, I'm like, someone's got to speak up. So I spoke up. Remember, the guy's big. I'm like, dude, can't you be nice? I'm serious. He looked down at me. He's like, what did you say to me? And I said, do you have any ice? You have to be quick. When your life's on the line, you get creative really fast. So we finally take off on the plane, you know, and we go, and it was raining that day. If you've ever been on a plane when it's raining, it gets a little rough like this. Then you got to go through the clouds. It's really weird. You go through the clouds, and the plane starts doing that. That's when everybody's screaming. I'm leading the way, by the way. And they're going up like this, you know, and it's doing this. And it does it for like, I don't know, 5 to 7 minutes. You're going literally through the storm, the clouds. And it shakes, and it shakes, and it shakes, and it shakes, and it shakes. And then finally, boom, you rise above, and it's peaceful, and it's calm, and the skies are blue, and everything changes. I think for a lot of us in this room, man, we get into those storms where it's like, man, the enemy's attacking our territory. Man, the marriage ain't going right. Finances aren't going right. Career's not going right. My kids aren't serving God. All this stuff. And sometimes we get in there and we stay inside of there and we don't fight back. We don't come after it. And that, please understand something. You might want to write this down. You cannot change what you choose to tolerate. If you choose to tolerate something, you will never change it. Eventually, you got to fight through and just say, he's coming after my territory, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep on following God. I'm going to keep on pursuing. And eventually, you'll get to calm and you'll get to peace, and you will ultimately get to the blue skies. I know it without a doubt that you will. Now, let me give you the second thing. Second thing, put it on the screen for me, is this. The enemy doesn't just fight you for where you are. He fights you for where you're going. This is big, okay? Because all of us have a territory, okay? Marriage, relationships, whatever. And we all have that stuff. But he doesn't just fight. Listen, don't miss this. This is my favorite part of the whole message. He doesn't just fight you for your territory. He's not just trying to mess with your relationship and for all that. He's fighting for where you're going. He's not just fighting you for the present. He's fighting you for your future territory, for where you are going. That's what he's fighting for. You ever thought, now go back. When Jesus had the conversation with the demon-possessed dude, he said, hey, man, what is your name? And the guy says, my name is what? The demon says, my name is what? Which is how many? 6,000 or more. Hold on a second. Stay with me. How much potential did this guy have for the future that the enemy thought, we got to put 6,000 inside this guy? You ever thought about that? Like, what was this guy going to accomplish? What was this guy going to do? What was this guy going to become? That, I got to put 6,000 in this one because I see the potential. See, that's what the enemy does. The enemy always comes along, and he not only messes with our territory, he messes with our future territory. Okay? Think about this. When Jesus was born, Herod comes along and says, well, I want all the babies under the age 2 killed. Why? Because the enemy knew what Jesus would become. He was only a baby at the time, but he saw his future territory. Same thing happened with Moses in the Old Testament. Okay? Pharaoh was afraid of what he would become, so the enemies orchestrated with Pharaoh, and they killed all the babies. Same thing in the Old Testament under the age 2 because they knew what Moses would become. The enemy wasn't just trying to attack the territory. He was afraid of the future territory of what they would become. I think of my friend Vivian, who years ago was 15 years old and was in juvenile hall and pregnant. All the counselors, all the people in juvenile hall, like, you need to abort this baby. There's nothing you're going to be able to opt this. Abort it now. She went against them. She had that little boy and ended up marrying that man when she got out of juvenile hall. And she had that boy at 15 years old and named him Hector. Hector is now one of my closest friends in the world. He's a pastor up in Sacramento, California. He has a church of 1,500 people. That's who the enemy was trying to abort. Because he wasn't just after Vivian's territory. He was after the future territory. I know what this boy could become. When I was 2 years old, I was born in Long Beach, California. I was born in the same hospital of Tiger Woods. That's my claim to fame. And I've got no money for it, so I don't know what's going on. I've written him several letters. And But I was 2 years old living in Long Beach, California. And when I was 2 years old, there was a party apparently. I mean, I'm 2 years old. I don't remember it. But apparently there's a party across the street. And there was a pool, and everybody's in the backyard. My family's there. I got 5 siblings, and we're all there hanging out. And I'm 2 years old, probably running around with a diaper. The ice cream man comes by. A lot of you remember that. Ding, ding, ding. The music goes, and everybody runs out. And for whatever reason, they forget the 2-year-old. And everybody runs out, and the 2-year-old falls into the pool, falls into the deep end. I'm laying in the bottom of the deep end. One of my sisters comes back to grab her towel. She grabs her towel, sees me at the bottom, and comes and gets me. Otherwise, I'm not here. Now, I'm not saying I'm all that or anything, but I'm wondering if the enemy was going, oh, I know what this boy's future territory could be. I know he's going to start churches, and I'm going to take care of that problem right now. There's some of you in here that barely made it past birth. You almost died. There's some of you that had a horrible childhood or teenage life, mom rejected, dad rejected, walked out, betrayed, abused, beaten, orphaned, whatever it may be. And the enemy was like, oh, I know what they could do. I think there's some of us in here that you're as an adult, man, you've been through some horrible situations in life, and man, you've been bruised and scarred, and you're just like barely hanging on, and it's a miracle that you're here. Here's why that is because the enemy's not just concerned with your territory. Help me out. He's concerned with your future. He's concerned of what you could become. He's concerned of what you could do. He's concerned of where he thinks you're going. That's what he's concerned about. He's not just concerned with your territory, though that's a big deal. He's concerned with your future territory as well because he sees in you and in you and in you. He sees what you could become. That if you'll learn to let go of what's in your hands, he'll let go of what's in his hands. If you go all out for God, he'll go all out for you. And I've seen that in my own life. Remember, he's coming after your territory, and he's coming after our future territory. Put it on the screen for me. Let's get back to the last couple graphics. I got one more scripture I want to read to you. Here's our territory. That's our territory. Relationships, marriage, we all have that stuff. And I want you to think about, where is the enemy attacking you? Where is the enemy coming after you right here in that current territory? But not only is it our present territory, but look at the next one for me. Not only that, but it's our present territories, all the things on the left side, but our future territory, the success, the business idea, the kingdom, the influence, the book you'll write, the church you'll help. He cares about those things. He's not just coming after your territory. He's coming after your future territory. He's coming after what could happen with your kids or what could happen with your grandkids or what you could become. He's always coming after that. And what is our answer? Our answer is always the same. And here is the answer. Put it up for me. We have got to fight back. Come on, say it with me. What do you got to do? Come on. You have to fight back. You can't sit back and say, well, I don't know, man. It just seems like. No, you got to fight back. And you got to say, get your hands off of my marriage. Get your hands off of my kids. Get your hands off of my grandkids. Get your hands off of my money. And get your hands off of me and my family's future. And it's time to fight back. Where we're saying, man, we're going after everything. And we're going to fight back. I don't know what it is for you in your present territory or in your future territory. But I'm telling you this, whatever it is, you've got to say, man, I'm going to protect this territory, and I'm going to fight back with God's help. And I am not going to quit. I am going to get through that cloud, and I am going to rise above the cloud of good enough because I know what God has for my life. Don't settle. We do not serve an average God. Have you ever sung the song, How Great Is Our God? It doesn't say how average is our God. Could you imagine a song like that? You're so average, God. You're beige, nothing. That's not the God we have. There is a God in heaven. I don't care where you're at in your Christian walk. There is a God in heaven who is crazy in love with you. And he not only wants your present territory to be amazing, he wants your future territory to be amazing. You go out, you fight back, you don't give up, you go all in and watch what God does. Now, how does this story end? The story ends very interestingly. The man gets set free. Then the man goes up to Jesus, the man that was demon-possessed. He goes up to Jesus, and he says, hey, can I follow you and go along with you? Because Jesus was getting back on the boat. And Jesus gives him a crazy answer. He looks at him and goes, no. Well, I want to follow you. No. What I want you to do is I want you to stay here in the city that you're in. And I want you to go all the little towns and regions. And I want you to let people know about me. Matter of fact, this is what happened in verse 20. This demon-possessed man. So the man started off to visit the 10 towns of that region and began to proclaim the great things Jesus had done for him. And everyone was amazed at what they told him. That man's response to the incredible love and power of Jesus was, I got to get someone else to know. That's why Pastor Adam and Gretchen are saying, hey, next week, there is, as Moses said on the screen, there is that window, that moment where next week, people will think about church in a way that they've never thought about it before. This is an opportunity for us to find a neighbor, a friend, a coworker, and say, I'm going to get someone here. I'm going to get someone here. I'm going to do whatever I can to get someone here. Because that's the response for everything he's done for us. It's the same man's response. God always wants us to reach out to people. Always wants us to make a difference. About, 8, 9, 10 months ago, the person that normally cuts my hair was unavailable. So I walked into this barber shop. I get mine done at a salon because I like when they do my hair for like 20 minutes. It feels like a massage. But this was a barber shop. And I'm telling you, it's a little bit of a hardcore barber shop. Everybody there is tatted up to here. There's more ink in there than there is at Office Depot. There's a lot of ink at this place. Everybody's tatted up. The only guy that was available 10, 11 months ago was this guy right here. Put it on the screen for me. My buddy Cam. That's my buddy Cam. He cut my hair 11 months ago, and he's been cutting my hair ever since. Now, let me tell you about Cam. Cam was, when he was 13 years old, living in Atlanta. He was in and out of juvenile hall all the time. He was running drugs for his dad. Imagine a dad at 13 having you running drugs. Then get in trouble for it over and over. About 6, 7 years ago, he decided to finally straighten out his life. He moved from Atlanta, moved to Southern California, went to barber school, and became a barber. And there is nothing at all that Cam and I have with each other, and nothing common at all. I mean, he is tatted every which way he's tatted. He listens to music I don't listen to. We are so different. Everybody in there is cool except for me. Literally, but hey, how you doing? They're like trying to shake my hand. I'm like, how do you do this? I don't know. So, Cam, I've just been loving on him. I didn't tell him I was a pastor up front. That usually kind of freaks people out. And so over time, we would open up and talk a little bit about God, and we got into a God conversation. And I remember a few months back, he told me, hey, next week is my 5-year anniversary. 5 years for what? 5 years I've been drug-free, off crack, coke, whatever he's did. So I put it in my calendar. That next week, I walked into his barber shop. I had already got my hair. He goes, what are you doing here, man? You cut your hair last week. And I walked in with a little cake and a card. And I said, hey, I'm celebrating your 5 years. Man, he didn't want to do it, but he was fighting back the tears in front of all his friends. Sent me a text. He said, no one's ever done anything like this for me. It's amazing how different we are, but love just seems to pierce through every time. Now this guy is going to church. He not only goes to church, he goes to a Bible study. Last time I got a haircut, he's like in Hebrews. He's like, man, this is great. He says, I like that other book. What's it called? Psalms? Yeah, that one. Psalms. I'm like, close. But I've watched his life get totally turned around. All because I was willing to step over a line and open my mouth. I don't want my barber just to think I'm a nice guy. I want my barber to know that who I live for. I want people to know who I live for, and I want them to live for him too, because I know what they'll do for him. He's been now in church for several months. He's got devotional. He's got a Bible. Every time I go in there, all the conversations change. Now, what does it mean here? What about this? And I'm really trying, and I really want to. His life is, he's in school now, earning a bachelor's degree. I love Cam. Last month, he was done cutting my hair, and he goes, hey, if there's ever a point where you don't cut my hair anymore, can we still be friends? He just so badly needs Jesus. And I just want to let you know today, this week, just like the man went around to the 10 regions, this week, find someone. Don't just hear this. Find someone. Friend, relative, coworker, neighbor. Cross the line. Hey, it's Easter. We have some really cool things happening at our church. I'd love to invite you. Don't show up empty-handed next week. Find someone. There is nothing that will bring your Christianity and your spiritual experience more alive than when you start to see it through the eyes of someone that's never seen it before. Do that next week. Let me pray with you and we'll be done. And turn it back over to the team. Jesus, first, God, I pray for everyone in here that may be struggling with their territory. God, help us to fight back. God, if there's people in here that, God, that they seem to be giving up in the marriage and relationship and things to be going bad, God, help us to fight back, I pray in the name of Jesus. And God, because you not only want our territory, you want our future territory. You don't want us to win. But God, I pray that you would help us to fight back. And God, as that man was delivered from all those demons, and he goes to Jesus and says, no, can I follow you? And Jesus says, no, but I want you to go and tell people about me. God, that is the same exact thing that's happening right now. Every one of us are commissioned to walk out of these doors in a couple minutes. Show up next week with someone else. Just like my buddy Cam. There's nothing like helping someone find Jesus. I pray that you would help us to do this. In Jesus' name, amen. I love you guys, and I love this church. Thank you guys so much.